Industry. Yes, for the delay the start of this meeting. We have the secretariat. So, hope that you will have lunch. Attention, greater service. I wish to send you greetings from experience that is over and down. I would like to welcome you after the meeting. So we're at our meeting, and especially the Friday afternoon, but we don't want to take it for granted in Friday afternoon. You work for the union, we sincerely apologize because the union and their engagements at 1 o'clock. This for the country offices. For the forum, they actually work. That's what I thought. If sure about it, yes, but for all kind of the world, they feel that so if you are related to that, sincere apologies for having to do a meeting outside of time. We are the red secretary would like to lead all the input you had to the different documents that you have prepared. So we sit in this room, we are here because the UN REC program that the United Nations program delivers that need to secure for its resources. Sure. Savings. Space. So, since it's in there, focusing that's fine. That is national data. That we have expected for the journey, but we intentionally invited them to this meeting. That union is supportive the administrator. The president second summary report. So submissions action by the for the country for climate change. So the submission of the summary report, just like the submission of NDC, just like the submission of the national communication and the submission of companion update all transparency report, all those submitted again for us and for the United Nations change. Change of the alternatives will usually pass varies the case of Uganda, managing subsidies of some of shows the our line subjects. Yeah, so it's that there's some meetings. So the climate change environment is important, is independence, to the market for the development. Yeah. So we invited. So among the things that the working on said is the key for ensure that I have enough time running through the deliverables. So that start that save some time. I mean, we have been since start of this year, we've been revising some second summary at a meeting which happened a couple of weeks ago. We were able to contribute zero draft. Some comments, consulting team led by Albert. Fair. Separate, especially more internal teams, either with one or two colleagues on the outside, to participate to when outside and along, then we shall subject it further, a little bit further from the coming. So we felt that about 20 max people and get into this meeting this afternoon. Otherwise, we'll try to prepare the consultant share with us. And wish to so remind you share the invitation. And so we pray and I pray that we will able to invite them at each. That we can spend a very long time for this because I suspect should be able to say that wish to let you know that this
use this one solution.
Second, the proposal before end of March, that's what I heard. Before end of March, so we'll subject this draft to you, and then we open an opportunity for the final. Validation, validation means so I'm not to be got such questions, but we want to make something again. It's a document is getting out of the country, so we cannot just subject it to our source. So yeah, we have other task force that we separate things in the reference phase. We want to include a couple of those people in the next engagements. Remember, we also have to check in the UNEP team at Nairobi, the United Nations Development Program, which is supporting this process. The program. You can expect this. More than also the National Climate Change Advisory Committee, which is hosted again by the climate change. We are trying to expand it to provide oversight. That's what like it used to do during the rainy phase. And so it just doesn't end in us. So we have to continue subjecting it to those levels of approval before it gets out of the country. So yeah, we have so team that to send your comments already. share comments, stuff, and all that. So to those comments that they're having said that, especially concerning the power, right? Thank you very much. Sharing us to giving us such a yeah. So, to get to the time, I want to start then.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be the ones to undertake this assignment, which is important for the country, as you've heard. During the introduction, as you had a group of people, and we get away with the feedback, if possible. There is feedback. Is it coming from? Please reduce the volume. Okay. So during the introductions, you must have heard Mr. Gasta, Mr. Ntege introducing themselves as part of this team. So we have together worked on this document. I want to believe that it has been shared with each one of the participants so that we move together. This is the structure. We have about 5-6 sections. The first one talks about the introduction, Uganda's national RED plus context. We have the national circumstances and approach to RED. Then we go to respecting safeguards. And then the other one is the overview of the safeguard information system, and then stakeholder engagement. So the introduction basically talks about, it introduces this document, as you may have gone through. It talks about how far Uganda has come as far as RED Plus is concerned. It is emerging from the readiness phase, and therefore this document marks a critical step in the country's efforts to reduce emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, while promoting conservation, sustainable forest management, and enhancing carbon stocks. So So this second summary builds on the first summary of information, and these are the sections as you have seen. So I'm planning to change from this laptop. It is not enabling me to move properly. So along the way, we shall have to change. So Uganda continues to face challenges as far as the environment is concerned. For example, challenges related to deforestation, driven by the agricultural expansion, logging, infrastructure development, and these have taken a toll on the forest cover of the country. The estimates indicate that about 1.4 million hectares of forest were lost between 1990 and 2015. And the current estimate is that around 92,000 hectares is lost every year. So this section talks about, in a nutshell, talks about what Uganda's state of forest is, and the forest management, the interventions which are in existence, and trying to link them to REDD+ actions. So it also talks about institutional arrangements, the role of the different government institutions, the role of the private sector, the role of ministries, departments, and agencies, how they all link together towards how they will affect REDD+ implementation. This section basically talks about the institutional framework, coordination of REDD+ activities. You can see top of which we have the National Climate Change Advisory Committee, the National REDD+ Steering Committee, and all the others. It also talks about the relevant policies, laws, and regulations. So before we move into what has changed since the first summary of information, Uganda's circumstances and approach to REDD+. This gives a historical background of where Uganda has come from as far as REDD+ is concerned. Talks about the developments in the area of climate change, developments as far as the safeguards, Cancun safeguards are concerned. It talks about the policies, the relevant policies, as we have said. And then it gives the history, the chronological flow of events from where REDD+ action started up to today. This is what it aims to give. That is what the section aims to give. As you can see, it shows chronology up to the year 2023. So we also have the review of processes for Uganda's forest policy, and the movement as far as art trees is concerned. This is okay? Talks about the interventions. For example, the intervention is related to institutional and policy strengthening. Interventions like the development of the national REDD+ strategy, the review of forestry policies, which have taken place during this time, and then the changes as far as National Forestry Authority management is concerned. we talk about the intervention is related to forestry, restoration and afforestation. Community-based forestation, the intervention is related to forest certification schemes. All these are recent happenings which fall within the period 2021-2023. And then the section 3 talks about how the safeguards have been respected. So the focus will be to look at the current state in terms of the existing legal framework, policies, regulations, the institutional framework, and any actions, any activities which have taken place during this period. So that is how this section is going to be arranged. So we have tried to put each safeguard, trying to present what it is according to the RED+ framework, and then looking at how Uganda interprets it, or how it is accepted, and how we are going to, how the country is moving towards addressing this safeguard. So for each theme, we tried to look at the relevant policies and regulation framework. We looked at the institutional framework. So for example, for the first safeguard, under the first theme, which says that actions complement or are consistent with the objectives of national forest policy, what is the legal framework? The legal framework, the important things is that we have the Uganda Forest Policy, Climate Change Policy, Uganda National Determined Contribution as updated, the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan. Then the Constitution has laws like which puts in place laws like the Forest and Tree Planting Act, the Uganda Wildlife Act, National Environment Act, the National Environment Management Act, Climate Change Act, and others. So each of these policies, each of these regulations, each of these acts brings something as far as RED+ implementation is concerned. So we have highlighted each and every relevant law, policy, regulation, and we think that there is an enabling framework, policy framework, legal framework to support RED+. Institutional framework, we have looked at the different institutions, their mandates, key among which is the Ministry of Water and Environment, National Forest Authority, Uganda Wildlife Authority, the districts, local government, MAIF, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Labor, and all that. So these put in place an enabling framework. They have a mandate, each one have a mandate to enable the enable respecting safeguards. We also have the Uganda National Climate Change Advisory Committee and the Forest Sector Support Department. So all these have mandates which are related. We have also highlighted civil society organizations which have mandates, and then we also remember the academic and research institutions. So the outcomes, these talk about the changes, what has happened during the period we are talking about, any reviews in the climate change, national climate change policies, the update of national determined contributions. They have been key. They have introduced relevant sections which align, which support the implementation of RED+ activity. So the second one, the second theme under Safeguard A which talks about the consistency of objectives to relevant international conventions and agreements. Again, Uganda has ratified a total of 14 international treaties, which are given, and these treaties they support the implementation of class activities. Institutional framework, here we are focusing on the institutions which have a direct relationship in ensuring that the treaties which have been ratified are indeed implemented. So those institutions, Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Local Governments, Uganda Wildlife Authority, and others. So this, the second safeguard B, looks at the rights of access to information, accountability, justice, gender equality, and tenure, and the distribution of benefits. And theme B1 specifically talks about respect, protection, and fulfillment of the rights to access to information. Uganda's constitution puts in place a framework which will ensure access to information, and it also has what one has to do in order to access information from any state institution. There is the Access to Information Act, and then the supporting regulations, and each of these define the rights of citizens to access information and records, and also they give restrictions they restrict the kind of information which may not be accessed, and also they define what needs to be done in order to access that information. Now, the institutions are given, and what has happened during this period has also been given, like the feedback and grievance redress mechanisms are updated, and the link is given, the website where they can be accessed. The communication, education, and awareness strategy was developed by Ministry of Water, among others. So, as far as the second theme under safeguard B is concerned, which is about transparency and prevention of corruption, including promotion of anti-corruption, there are many laws the government the Constitution of Uganda puts in place, the institutional and legal framework which is necessary in order to mitigate corruption. The National Forestry and Tree Planting Act provides for access to fees, licenses. We are looking at what would bring corruption in the forest sector. And then there is the Anti-Corruption Act. So the institutional framework, like Auditor General, IGG, and all the others, they have a mandate. So outcomes are also given. The third theme, which is about land tenure system, it also follows the same as we have talked about. The Constitution is the key enabling law, the Land Act, the Registration of Titles Act, the National Forestry and Tree Planting Act. All these put in place what is required from the legal policy and regulation point of view in order to enable people to access, to get rights to their land. The institutional framework, as highlighted, we have land commissions, district land boards, land committees, Ministry of Housing, Urban Development, All these have mandates. The district forestry office, all these have mandates related to ensuring free enjoyment of rights to land. So, access to justice, again, this is clearly provided for by the existing laws. The Local Council Courts Act, the Land Act, National Environment Management Act, the Judicature Act, all these provide for the courts and legal systems, the institutions which should be in a place to ensure access and enjoyment of rights to land. So, Safeguard C talks about respect for knowledge and rights of indigenous peoples and members of local communities, taking into account the relevant international obligations, national circumstances and laws, and noting that the United Nations General Assembly has adopted the UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Again, this, Uganda has legal, policy, and regulatory frameworks in place to ensure that it is respected, as you can see. Now, the fact that you have gone through this document, if you have gone through this document, do we go like this or do we receive the comments? Is it okay we get the comments per section? Or we first go first? Okay, okay. The second theme under Safeguard C is respecting and protecting traditional knowledge. The Constitution is key. The Climate Change Act promotes and preserves cultural values. The Constitution promotes the Constitution promotes and preserves cultural values and practices which enhance the fundamental rights and freedoms, dignity and well-being of Ugandans. The Climate Change Act is based, it was prepared having in mind the importance of traditional knowledge and the knowledge of indigenous peoples and the local knowledge systems. The other one is the National Environment Act. Again, this one prescribes integrating traditional knowledge to conservation of biodiversity, and means it provides for mainstreaming scientific knowledge. So the institutional framework, the key institution in this case is the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, and others like NEMA, Uganda Wildlife Authority, also have mandates because they interface with indigenous people. About respecting and protecting the fulfillment of rights of indigenous peoples, the key legal policy and regulatory frameworks in the country is the Constitution as amended, the Land Act, the Judicature Act, National Forestry and Tree Planting Act, among others. So these ones each prescribes what needs to be done in that regard. Institutional frameworks give district local governments, have community development officers, agriculture and forestry officers. All these have a role to play in supporting communities. The Equal Opportunities Commission has a role to play and they are relevant and addressing the complaints and issues related to the indigenous peoples and observing their rights. There is a feedback and grievance redress mechanism which was developed, and this, when fully implemented, should be able to address any missing gaps. We have Safeguard D, which looks at ensuring the right to participation of indigenous peoples and local communities is recognized and promoted. And the key regulations, the key laws, key policy frameworks in from the Constitution. The Constitution establishes the Equal Opportunities Act and the Equal Opportunities Commission, and this commission has a constitutional mandate to enhance the participation and representation of indigenous peoples in decision making. The National Forest and Tree Planting Act also prescribes public participation in the management and conservation of forests and trees. The NEMA Act encourages participation of people in the development of policies, plans, programs, especially those related to the environment. So the institutional framework, you can see that we have institutions like Equal Opportunities Commission, NEMA, Uganda Forestry Working Group, National Climate Change Advisory Committee, and others. This tries to show the responsibilities of the different institutions which we have talked about. The theme related to promoting adequate participatory procedures for meaningful participation of indigenous peoples and local communities. We are basing on the Constitution, Article 17, which requires the state to promote sustainable development and public awareness of the need to manage land, air, and water resources. So that blanket declaration there is sufficient for people to participate in the development of environmentally sustainable actions. The Forestry and Tree Planting Act is also encourages public participation in the management and conservation of forests and trees. The Wildlife Act reaffirms the objective to provide for public participation in wildlife management. And it also encourages education, training, and public awareness in wildlife and public participation in wildlife management. So the institutions are given. The outcomes basically show what has changed, what has been done recently, especially within the period which we are trying to report about. The RED Plus strategy update, the implementation, the stakeholder engagement plan for emission reduction was prepared during that period. So this table is blank. I know a lot has happened during this period, including events like this, which we should be able to summarize. If we are able to get all the information, we show that the engagement of the different stakeholders, the training of the different stakeholders has indeed happened. These are the number of participants. This is the venue. This is the date, and the training was, all the engagement was about this. So if we, while it is readiness phase, but by populating this table to show what has been happening. So I think we we need to get a summary and we fully populate this. I will make sure that we have it populated within the coming few days. Safeguard E, that RED plus activities will promote the conservation of natural forests and biodiversity, the enhancement of social and environmental benefits, and will not result in the conversion of natural forests. So here, we look at the legal framework. The Uganda legal framework defines the terms biological diversity and forest. In the second summary of information utilizes the definition in the National Forestry and Tree Planting Act, and it defines the forest as an area of land containing a vegetation association that is predominantly composed of trees of any size and includes a forest classified under that act, or a natural forest, woodland or plantation, the forest produce in a forest, and then forest ecosystem. So that is the definition. And then the forest ecosystem is also defined as any natural or semi-natural formation of vegetation whose dominant element is trees with closed or partially closed canopy, together with the biotic and abiotic environment. So that is the definition which is used in this case, and following that definition, these other laws, the Constitution, and others give different mandates in the management of the forest. Institutional framework, National Forest Authority, Uganda Wildlife Authority, district local governments are all responsible for mapping and the spatial distribution of natural forests and other natural ecosystems located in protected areas and their management and control. So the institutions include the Uganda Land Commission, the District Land Board, Uganda Wildlife Authority, National Forest Authority, the Forest Sector Support Department, District Local Government, Ministry of Lands, NEMA, and others. So what changed during the period is environment and social management for Uganda RED Plus process. There is a monitoring, reporting, and verification system, among others. About protection of natural forests, biological diversity, and ecosystems. There are protocols, there are conventions and treaties, which Uganda is a party, and each one is elaborated, including what it aims to achieve. So if Uganda is a signatory, then that means it also observes what is required in these treaties and conventions, and therefore, in that case, that forms the legal framework. In addition, we have other laws like the National Environment Act, the National Biodiversity Strategy, the National Forest and Tree Planting Act. All of these they form the necessary legal framework, policy framework for that, for observing that safeguard. Enhancement of social and environmental benefits, the legal framework, have the Constitution under Section 245. We have the Strategic Environment and Social Assessment Framework by the Minister of Water, and all of these form the basis for observing that safeguard. This safeguard F is not yet complete. safeguard F and G are not yet complete, but they aim at the risks of reversals and displacement of REDD+ activities are addressed through MRVs and natural forest monitoring systems. So we are looking at what is the status as far as this is concerned, and the National Forest and Tree Planting Act prevents the deforestation in forest reserves and also prescribes actions against any of those offenses. So I was working on it just before we came in, looking at what the National Forest Monitoring System contains. I know there is something which is contained in the first summary of information, and it will be a basis for us populating this section and the next section. And also, I know there is work which is ongoing by another team, and this will give us the basis for filling this, but it is usually a small section and it will be completed. So this section, which is just an overview of the safeguard information system, looks at progress as far as implementation of Uganda's safeguard information system is concerned. And you can see a lot has been done to actualize that system. And basically this is an additional section. And we go ahead and define some of the terms which are used in this summary of information. So this is the last page of the report. Thank you very much. So I can take it back to you as you guide us how we proceed.
Thank you also the presentation. But that's just the rights. Before back, I don't want to bias the express. Senior secretary paid after we have produced ourselves. That they lost.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My name is Sema Mohammed. Work in the Ministry of Environment and Assistant. Nice to meet you.
My name is Governor. The only officer here, so in chief officer and commission.
Was not use that.
Also, what is that's also very thank you. Okay, thank you. We need now to get into discussion of this document. This is the 66-page document. What you have read through before. You want to provide it. Yeah. I was saying that you should have read the document before. 66 pages. I'm not going to ask you to read and read. Just comment, give feedback of what you have done and what you have read. Thank you very much. I had calling him consultant. After this, you
After
the assignment,
the assignment,
he loses.
you lose the consultant organization.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't intend, but I think it would be that I thought maybe we could agree on, especially on the laws. We have a hierarchy of laws from the Constitution, the Acts of Parliament, the regulations, and sometimes some jurisdictional guidelines can be also required. And I saw is where you mentioned the Acts of Parliament, like the National Environment Act, and we missed out some very useful regulations, like the Environment Social Assessment regulations. And those are the ones that quite often we use to rationalize the spirit that they have. I thought they would reflect almost in all the areas where we have the Acts of Parliament and where we possibly where we have regulations. I also observed that it came to address the issue of legislation, both the National Forest and Planting Act, together with the National Environment Act, they have provisions that address the issue of deforestation. I'm not very sure why we chosen to only look at forestry graphs. But even the forests, private land, the National Environment Act also ensure that if we are changing the land use, especially in the shading of projects that are environment assessment, the changing the land use expected to carry out an environment social assessment. Certainly, if it involves that, whoever is changing the land use, why this measures of state. It's so something that we also look at. I observed that the National Forest Plan maybe still, especially the current one is about to expire. It's a good document for us to find. But after the whole this National Forest Plan, that will guide some of the conclusions. Then lastly, with the chair, the area of capacity building, so the table we presented, I'm inclined to believe that for us to know our status in the area of capacity, useful to identify those important plus see where if we choose to be in self-plans, there are particular companies that the training has been in all of them, they should see the training of all the 5 red plus activities. It helps us to know where rather than just stating kind of things without having an expectation. So you get very interesting. Finally, the list of those important terms. So you chose not to have a long list because but considering that there are certain terms that we find they are important terms for us to understand. Things like additionality. Yes. When you are in this space, they look obvious. But those who attend big additionality, agreeing on what these terms mean usually takes hours. There, as those critical terms that everybody needs to know what they mean up to this stage. Thank you. From the level of this.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your time. I don't know how much time I have to chat.
How many?
I'll try to be brief,
Okay, try to-
like 3 or 5. I want to comment about the policy rules and regulations. Page by page 8. Then the same document. You mentioned that Uganda has adequate policies, rules and regulations. Just after that, below you mentioned many gaps and weaknesses, which include lack of certain policies, clear laws, lack of legislative framework. So, first of all, I think when you say that the laws are adequate here, it means that they are satisfactory and acceptable. So, we have to change the language of the same policies. These are these daily mentioned gaps and weaknesses. And then also under gaps and weaknesses, I think maybe you didn't need to mention all of them, but there are other things probably that you missed, like the weak penalties that are in laws, certain offenses not expressly mentioned that the laws, but certain offenders are able to bring them to book. Then I also don't see most important implementation and enforcement here on page 8. And then you mentioned something codes that I was thinking that it became like something a little bit detailed about the vision. That's first disputes settlement mechanisms. The disposal of various disputes in then also to exercise judicial activism comes from forestry management. And then I also maybe I see but I think about ADN or that dispute resolution. Dispute resolution to suit amendments expressly provide for alternative dispute resolution. Read us. And then then if we go to under safeguard, A1 page, I think that's page 27. Page 27. Yes, page 27. And you mentioned that you mentioned the National Environment Management Authority Act 2019. It's the National Environment Act. Authority. It's the chapter. It's the chapter. Then, yes, sorry to take you back from page 8 where you were mentioning that you were missing that citation. Some you put then others you wouldn't. Some can go back to page. Yes, the Wildlife Act 2019. Then the Climate Change Act 2021. National Forest and Tree Council regulations. So you can go back to page 27.
Which theme?
We are still under theme A1.
A1, yes.
A1. So you mentioned that Uganda has a comprehensive legal and policy framework governing conservation and protection consistent with the national programs that are applicable to it. Then you say among them are national legal and policy. Then among them, you start with policy. Then you go after policies, then the NDC, and then later you say it has and has laws. Yet you have already, I think we can break them down. When you say it has comprehensive legal and policy framework, you mention the policies and the laws. And then later you say it has laws including the Forestry and Tree Planting Act, the Wildlife Act, and the NEA Act 2019. Then you say whose overall objective is. So which objectives are we talking about here? Specifically for the NEA Act, because the one you just mentioned, or the overall objective.
This should be the overall objective.
For all the
Yes, what do they have in common as far as this is concerned?
then
Council can advise this with the chair. If we just want to do an analysis of the laws, one part looking the specific laws of the state, and we will not see that. So that might cause actually accumulate or big start. This is what I found in the end of the two. Consider the view that the state and
then still page 27, you mentioned that Uganda has reviewed and updated the following. Then you start with the National Climate Change Act. We have not reviewed and updated that. We have enacted it. So after that, you mentioned the rest that were amended. So you will have to remove the National Climate Change Act. It's not about the review and updating. Then we go to page 33 on access to information. That's MP1, the respect of particular information. I think the paragraph 1 was repeated in paragraph 3. The right of access to information is enshrined in the Constitution of Uganda, Article 41, paragraph 3, the right of access to information is trained. Same thing with letters legal framework, letters legal framework is very nice. And then page 35. Page 35.
That's where there.
Yes, page 35. Safeguard page. Okay. Where you mentioned corruption, is you outright you mentioned the offices of IGG are not general. So the first thing that you should start with is corruption act. And you look at section 2, because I saw somebody would explicitly refer to the sections and articles. Then somebody probably didn't general. We just mention the corruption act. And then you can mention the IGG and then yes.
Can we resolve that first? Now, these are stated in the Constitution. The Constitution, we are actually talking about the Constitution, which establishes those even before the acts come in, these other acts come in. So the office of the Inspector General of Government and Auditor General, they are part of the Constitution. Yeah, so.
Yes, that means that I was mentioning the
Okay.
the things with corruption, the anti-corruption act.
Yeah, flowing from the Constitution.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have the Constitution first.
Yes, then also there were some articles in the Constitution. I saw you mentioning, but I don't know if I missed them, but I think you mentioned especially when there was I didn't see mention article. Then this that article 245, then article 23, sorry, 236. Yes, on yes, article 23. Then objective 27. Utilization of natural resources shall be managed in such a way that government that's the national objectives and directive principles.
the yes, it's the director. This is yes, and the other and which is say environment management. Then district level actions. Yeah, this.
The consult and first this was batch.
Hey. Thank you very much. Gaps as identified, we definitely acknowledge and note that we are going to integrate definitely. That is the starting point. So there is no disagreement as far as that is concerned. Do I need to recite what I have picked from everybody? I don't think it is necessary. I note that these gaps will definitely be included to further enrich the document. You want to comment? Please, yes, sir.
I should say something as requested, but there's a disagreement to what you have just said. I would like to thank you, all of you, for the contributions made, which are mainly contributions that aim to the quality of this document. We are going to take each of your contribution, Patrick, yourself, these comments as is, and make sure that they are included. Wherever the changes are required, we shall make possible changes to include them in the documents. Other than that, I think we are positive with the comments made so far.
I can add that the moment we agree that we capture the bulk of the technical material, then we are going to subject this report to thorough editorial review and making sure that it is balanced properly. For now, we were rushing as he has noted, but we are going to make sure that we capture what is referred to and further enrich this. Thank you.
This one area that I didn't mention, we need to keep yes. Section 4. It's the right of nature. Uganda is one of the few countries in the world that gives nature the right to subsist. Generate is make sure that all the cycles are in place. There are not too many jurisdictions that have that kind of provision to mention the right to self-system. Here it shows you the frameworks, what kind of method we had. We usually say we assume that everything that has feelings has a right to survive. And that's what you mean. But we even went beyond feelings because the nature is just not the organs that have feelings. Even those that do not have feelings, meaning everything within that nature provides us expected process. Among the view that this report, we try to give it more weight. Those that are supposed to promote haven't yet started. We did waiting for someone. Because we're even waiting for the regulations to rationalize that particular provision. And so I pray that this report emphasizes it. And lastly, the fact that you are looking at several laws that are supporting this process, what would be the best way, or what would be our selling point? That we have a single law, or we have multiple laws that support it. The view that in your right, we try to show how interactive we have within the section, the ENR section. Most of the sectoral laws are supportive of what they're trying to pursue. Because other times, again, I'm not very lucky to have sectoral laws that are supportive of an initiative that they not even participate in. Then plus, who are involved, who are not lands, they are not from lands, and many other things. But there are many other supportive different. So I thought that can come out be very useful. So getting all the it's and when people comparatively. Okay, tell me something.
Thank you. This is just addition what the colleagues have mentioned. I want to throw you to some of the standards already. It is extensive and very deep. So I had two areas which I shared a few minutes before meeting around midday. But where we also discussed around and one more. Maybe outline them, they are very short, the minute each. So one was the structuring of the report. And there's some sections. So for example, section 2, Uganda's trade national context. I'm requesting that we keep the section to provide the context of trade with respect to the Cancun and Warsaw frameworks. Therefore, subsection 3.23 and subsection 3.24 will be brought up to that section. And then we can follow the FCPF UN Red Program components. We have the other package which lists the components systematically. So then when we are following the context of national trade, gives us that guide, then we can mention what is new after we publish it. That way everybody follows it, and that's how other countries are also using. Then the other point which I had follows that section 3 and section 2 have a relationship. Therefore, one of them will become the top, and the other becomes the daughter of each. So if we have the national circumstances and approach to it, we have from the top, and then context on trade becomes under it. That way, then you have the chance to put all of them systematic order. I will share also that paragraph. Then the other one which I shared slide before was on the approach to Cancun. That's the section which is called approach to Cancun safeguards. I was requesting that we summarize the country approach, which will be prepared in 2018, which is contained in our national states safeguards information management. So that section has about 2 pages where each of the Cancun safeguards are listed. Then Uganda's interpretation of each of those safeguards is also mentioned. So that way, then, after we have finished that one, then we can prepare a statement which says that either we can use a statement which says we are now reconciling the Ugandan's approach with the ART increase. Therefore, our following description of how the safeguards are respected is following the themes of ART. The other method is to say, this is the way we are meeting and respecting each of the Cancun safeguards, and then below the Ugandan interpretation, and then the requirements for ART. So we have that also in this. So I think we will share this one also with them. That's why I want to share. And then, yeah. So the other sections now, which are now on each of the safeguards, will be adjusted once they have allowed that arrangement, but also there is another improvement we are doing on the monitoring and the registration management for PRT, which is more detailed than what is there. Would like this one to borrow from it once it has answered the comments that it had received from the external reviewers. So they will go concurrently. So while they are reviewing this, we are also responding to the comments and completing the registration and monitoring documents of ART. Then that more detailed components can come and also make how we are meeting them. We will have a choice here whether we become more detailed in this at the same level as we are detailed in the other side of the monitoring and registration, or we summarize what is there, but give the chance for the two questions to speak the same language. Those are the comments I had mentioned. Thank you.
Sorry. I think that it was a tweet. They delegated the upwards. So I'm trying to manage that kind of delegation. My brother had received an emergency call. But yeah, I think I'm agreement with you that this must be each other because we are making this as SOI. We need to there are things that are right? So pretty sure that the evaluation first. Probably that you know to coffee. That's that yeah. He was going to think how to coffee. So walk. Just the sure that there are any additional comments.
Let me give a comment. As Mr. Zavia has stated here, he mailed his comments. You have very important comments. They are comprehensive. Even if it is just changing the comma replacing it with the full stop. Please, if you have gone through your document, which you share, let's take this as that's why you are invited. I saw the list of people who are invited, there were not very many. Please, if you go through that, go draft changes if possible, and then you share. I think that will be something done not for this assignment, but for the assistant. So that moving forward, you even those of you who have already given comments, please do us. If this something small, share with us, share with him, and we'll get it, and we shall move to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Nathan knows the process. The aspects of self-guidance are actually led by the Department of Services, Sector Services Support of the Ministry. Maybe to bring this into context also, we have some timelines to be set. Yes. We also set up by the yeah. For in a consistent manner, must be having an engagement. So, think about that. Also mentioned what we wanted that smaller group. So that is subjected to the bigger group and the other structure that you know, and it's to be still out of order. Let's mention that those statement gets out of the country. It is subjected to yeah. Fostered by the attitude right to expire in a good. So see. So, but I just said it's feel free. And then such that as we close very quietly. Just and we're expecting some additional comments. Thank you. So we see the legal people can read, but we see this column missing. So we appreciate that. But I think because of the nature of training, we still have open book university. Where you have to go with the something I mean, open you cannot be last. You have the materials, but you use them to answer the exam. And people fail. So you must be interested in it. But open book is now hard. So council, thank you very much for, and I know our colleagues are still reading, as you mentioned, Albert. In case there are any comment, better to send any draft changes that can follow. So that the consultants and they also think about the structuring of such a report. What is the structure of SOI? How we should change it? There is a decision that guides on SOI. Giving the decisions for consultants that is should be an SOI. Both the national circumstances, things which some countries have unique to the safeguards issues. Having said that, you know, trying to buy sometimes or someone can put up their hand. There's a problem. Just bring again this context. A summary information report is a report that Uganda is compliant to safeguards would be the main, but if there is any other new things happening and the country is leading, like now the act trees requirements for safeguards, then you follow them as well. So it is actually an M&E document, if I may use the word M&E, but for the safeguard. And there was safeguard information system. Yes. Most of this information will have the SOI that will be coming from the SIS. Not many countries been able to have a complete safeguard information system to report, to deliver an SOI using that system. Almost countries are still moving, still being 6 years there, that safeguard information system to be able to deliver that nature. So it does no harm for the country to deliver a hard copy or soft copy, but like manual. Yeah, that's why. That is the summary information report is one of those documents that demonstrates that the country is ready going to carbon trade. In fact, Uganda was able to even submit the concept note to the GCF with confidence, because one of the documents they asked the country was whether we have ever submitted as, I mean, they didn't ask for the thing on the website, but they asked the GCF that we have the standard information report, and we're lucky we are the number one submitted in 2021. Engage in any other transaction in the source column, we can make a reference to SOI. Many countries are failing access, and my brother made tell you that under Article 6.4, I think actually 6.2, one of the new decisions is that the country which is ready, that will engage in that Article 6.2 if it has met the requirements of the also elements. One of the also elements is a self-information system. This is the summary of information. So for us, as we do all these things, we are making the country ready. One time somebody might want to look around Africa, in this region for a country which is civilly ready. It safeguards information, for national forest monitoring system, the strategy, and so it's a very important process. That is for granted. Then I can meet and read it while we are going. That's what we have. Yeah, anything from you, anything more about this SOI number 2, as we also pick a cup of coffee. That's again, I hand over this mic to. Thank you. That is for the dedicated partners. So, should have dedicated. I thank you for the comments that you have received. How's are you using one? Okay.
Yeah, looking at the safeguard a bit too on promoting transparency and prevention of corruption, including the promotion of corruption measures. We have many mentioned and also discussed the act and then the Auditor General's office. There's also, in addition to that, there is this authority called the Financial Intelligence Authority that is also concerned with the savings, suspicious transaction reports. You know, it concerns. Yeah, so I think maybe it can also be something that we can take care of in addition to what we have as a measure to counter any issues that may arise during the transactions as we enter into the markets. Thank you. The others, I've said, because there are some editorials view that really they don't have mention, but I'll just say that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think since you guys I want to this is the work in progress. If you did have the still give me the opportunity, but we have a timeline with this can be done. I have personally I started reading this and I read word by word. So by the time we look at some issues like need to update some of the reporting. Somewhere I saw under the institutional elements we were looking about doing what an environment sector working. Those sector things that we now the program and so we talk about the natural resource environment climate and what. But the other that has transpired since 2021, elections that are about a lot of use took place after 2019. And so we need to update those frameworks. And I entirely agree with talking about the regulations as well than honoring other than just the acts, especially those that speak to the subjects and the citations also as was given. So what has transpired in between is really the document. But again, you pointed out the other last safeguards that are not yet filled out. I don't know when you intend to fill up, and
how we shall proceed with the filling those gaps as well as reviewing and incorporating the comments. So we expected that what is shared today was what is complete as per the products opinion, and then we go into the other things. So I think we need to give people more time to comments, but also we need time to incorporate these comments. But also, as Paul indicated, have other external people who have looked at the comments. This would share with the vision for the guidance. So I'm tempted now to be talking about the way forward. Okay. So as guided, how much we need to read through and give any additional comments about the consultant. That's Monday. Just finish. Of course, it's not good to slide with someone who is always reading. We need someone who has read. We must have like this one. How much time you read? So that's the weekend you're going to the weekend. The other way on that weekend. Okay. Maybe realistically, could we give ourselves up to Friday next week? And science means constant. If you keep quiet, you have no comment. You don't say, but I was going to give my comments. You don't want to say. Anyone who has comments among the stars, including Patrick, who has not received a copy, should have finished the other 200 and also this one. That's agreeable with everyone. And then two, the incorporation of the comments. I know the ones from council are a mouthful. Going because the laws and getting the citations and what, but still they are good. So I think we shouldn't wait for Friday to begin incorporating. So as we are living here, we are going to start the incorporation as well, what we have so far received. And then someone looking at the calendar, Friday next week is when? Wednesday. Wednesdays will be sharing with the team. So can we talk of meet the following week, around 5th, 6th of March?
It's okay.
To have the revised version. So I think that's what we shall be able to share with the other team. We have another video. We have another review under this task. Yes.
So, but we'll cross check and see and update.
Okay. This was a smaller meeting, but it is big enough. But I have it in mind at least by that time we should be able to share the other side with you.
This also not is a collaboration after our meeting. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Each comment is useful, so when how we can be more delighted to some additional comments. Yes, you may not be doing as much as you want, but we are moving in the right direction as far as distance is concerned. Sure. Make this country proud. Matters. When it comes to the kind of transactions, then my brother made it there with or to sell to I don't know who or else. So you know, so when we get this ready on behalf of the country, I think it's time. So here for me, it's always a pleasure to have many people participate in this process because those of you are dealing with RED, you know that RED is about consultation, consensus building, agreeing together, and then moving forward. You know, so there will be arguments, but somehow we find the middle ground. I want to thank you and wish you the blessed stay over the weekend. I mean, the weekend and the rest of the days. So wish you the best.
Maybe this is just information.
I can advance.
No, sir. It's just information. Feel free to stay here shortly because the road has been cordoned off. Traffic is not flowing. So here it is okay, but outside.
I'll check in the water. And Emily and Ben. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for that. I usually have I think it's excellence in using this road.
Surely.
Back and backward.
Today it's not here.
I think those walk and stores. Just walking. It's all right. I can walk together with the city.
Today it is not here. It has been recorded of traffic. No one knows. Yes, and I think because of they want something from it's not moving. Actually, from